Welcome to episode 21 of the Be More podcast, and today I am joined by a guest. I'm going to add a little bit of context before I introduce the guest. So I started the Be More podcast with the aim to obviously be more myself and document the journey of myself trying to be more, and about 8 or 9 episodes in, I was lucky enough to meet the person who is the guest on today's podcast, and this person has helped me to be more than any other person has in my entire life, and I am very grateful for this human being. It happens to now be my girlfriend, and I'm bringing her on the podcast because I want the world to hear her story, and she's about to make a huge leap, or she already has made a huge leap, and I want her to basically talk through what she's doing, and it's going to inspire a lot of people, and I'm excited. So Robyn, welcome to the Be More podcast.
Thank you. No pressure.
No pressure. And how was that introduction?
Fab. Well done.
Thanks very much. Right, tell the Be More podcast listeners who you are, and introduce yourself.
So my name's Robyn. I don't really know what you want me to say.
I want you to say what you currently do,
Okay.
and what you're looking to do in the future, and how you feel like you're trying to document what your process is and everything.
Okay. So I currently work for a successful software company. I've been there for just coming up for 5 years. So I joined as a receptionist, so kind of real junior entry level, and over the years I've worked my way up through the company, supporting the managing director, and then getting involved in various projects and teams and departments, and kind of growing with the company and taking a lot more responsibility, earning a lot more money along the way, and kind of creating a really successful career for myself. So what I'm looking to do now, so in September, in about 4 months' time, I've decided to leave the security of that job and that career and start up my own business. And that's going to be focused around female empowerment and coaching women to kind of help them on their journey. I mean, almost to be more. So like you were saying earlier, I think that women tend to struggle with things a lot more due to their own perception of themselves. And I've come on a massive growth journey myself over the last 2 years, and I've learnt a lot of things along the way, picked up a lot of kind of tips and knowledge that I want to share with anyone really, but more so women, and to help them become almost the best version of themselves and achieve their potential in life.
So we are on a very similar journey, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So the world has aligned massively, hasn't it, to bring us together to do this together and to help each other be more and contribute and help as many people as we can. I guess that's the aim. So let's start back earlier. Let's start from like childhood. Talk us through that and how then you got into the job you're in now. So what was the process? What happened?
Okay, so my childhood was kind of standard. I was quite lucky as a child, got to go on holidays every year. My parents got divorced when I was about 18 months old, so I don't really remember them being together as such. But I had a lot of positive influence from my stepdad and other people that then brought into the family through relationships. None of them are entrepreneurial, none of them are I mean, they've all got good work ethic, but none of them have got the kind of drive and that kind of entrepreneurial streak that I have. I've just kind of developed that over time, I think, and I am probably one of the most self-critical people that you'll ever meet, and I give myself such a hard time if things are not perfect or if I feel I could have done better. And I think that that's kind of just escalated over time to turn me into the person I am now, that wants to kind of go out and do all of these things and help other people. So with regards to getting to the company I'm at now, I left school with good grades, didn't really know what I wanted to do, so went to South Downs College, picked random subjects that I enjoyed, got a part-time job on the weekend working at a jeweller's, So I was at college Monday to Friday and then worked Saturday, Sunday there. And then I kind of decided on the last day of my first year of college, I'm not working towards anything here, like I'm not moving forwards in my life. And I just made a snap decision to just go and speak to the guidance section in the college and find out about apprenticeships. I didn't even know you could do a business apprenticeship, but they told me about that. That sounded like something I'd be interested in. And by the following week, I had 3 interviews lined up with different companies. They all offered me, but there was a particular software company that I was drawn to. So went and worked for them. I was there for about 2 years. Again, they took me on permanently. I kind of developed the role, took on extra responsibility. They put me wherever there was a gap in the business. I can learn super fast. So if someone left or if there was just a random project that needed doing, they just put me on it. And then the director of that company then made me his PA from my apprenticeship. So they took me on full time. I then had like a bit of a meltdown and decided I was working a lot of hours. I was 19 years old at the time. All my friends were out getting drunk and I was like, I'm missing out here. I need to live while I'm young a bit. So I quit my job and I booked a one-way flight to Magaluf to go and do a season out there. So went out there on my own with no job to go to, no place to stay. I think I had a hotel booked for the first night or two, and just had to kind of find people to help me and just find my way. I lasted about a month and then cried to my mum on the phone and she booked me the next flight home. So I came home a couple of days later, and within 2 weeks I then started my job as the receptionist at the company I'm at now. So that's kind of how I got there.
Cool. So, and then you've gone from being a receptionist to operations manager in how many years?
So I got promoted after about 2.5 years.
And you're now 24?
Yep.
Cool. And talk us through the process of how you then got your promotions, so then give people an insight into what they could potentially do within a work environment to get promoted. Yeah,
absolutely. So I was lucky enough to join a business that was very ambitious itself and growing at a ridiculous pace. When I first joined, there wasn't a set growth path, if you like. There wasn't room for progression as such. It was just, I was receptionist and partly PA as well. And just being the type of person I am, I work super hard at everything I do. So I was just keen to get in and do as much as I could. And I remember on my first day, the director gave me like a list of things to do for the week, and I'd completed it by like 2:00 that afternoon. I went back and was just like, can I have some more? And so then they just started giving me more and more and more, and I would look for opportunity within the business. So the director I was working for was obviously super busy all the time. He had multiple businesses to run, and he wasn't getting that much support really. And I was identifying things that he was doing that I knew that I could do, that would save him time, and I could maybe even do it more efficiently because I'm good at technology, I'm good at using different programs, and I'm switched on, and I can normally make things quite efficient. So I would just call him out on stuff and just say, can I help you with that? Can you teach me how to do that? And I can take that off. How much time would that save you if I were to do that for you? And then what could you then spend your time doing? And that's how I'd add my value. So I'd identify areas where I could take on tasks to free him up to focus on the bigger things to move the business forward. And I think that just continually over time, working super hard, going above and beyond, getting in early, staying late. If there was stuff to do, I'd be in on the weekends, like didn't have to be asked. I think if you just work super hard and you're proactive, I think the problem that a lot of people have is they feel like they're working super hard. They're maybe not necessarily working as hard as they could, but they feel as though they're doing a good job, but they don't ask for stuff. And if you don't ask, you don't get. If you're not proactive and putting yourself out there right in front of these people, then of course you're not going to be identified for a promotion. So I think I just put myself out there as much as I could, kind of put myself right in front of them so that when that opportunity arose, I was the obvious choice.
Cool. And then talk financially, what kind of increments in wage increase did you get? Like, because your income now is way bigger than most people your age, right?
Yeah, so I've pretty much, in the time that I've been there, trebled my income.
in 4 years, 3 years?
In...
I think it's 5 years in September, isn't it?
Yeah, so it'll be about in 4 years.
Which is rare, isn't it? Which is very rare. And then, yeah, touch on characters within that workplace that have influenced you, because I know you mentioned that before. I think that's something that can add a lot of value as well by, obviously, the people that are of your key influence.
So the company itself is very ambitious, and it therefore naturally attracts ambitious people. So especially in the senior team, they're all very entrepreneurial. And the director himself, who I worked really, really close with throughout my time there, is without a doubt the reason I'm as focused and driven and a perfectionist, I guess, as I am. And I've learned so much from working with him and alongside other members of the team. Like, there's some really, really amazing people in there, and the thing is, they all want to invest in you, and they all want to help you and encourage you in their career, and it's all about growth. And they introduced me to goals and personal development and all this stuff I didn't have a clue about before I started that there. And I think that if I'd never joined that company, had I joined a different company at the time, and in fact I did have another job offer at the time as well, my life would be completely different now. I wouldn't have a clue about goals. I would just be your average person that's just turning up to work, trying to get through the day, going home, sticking the TV on, just not really moving forwards in my life. There's no way I'd be the money that I've managed to earn. There's no way I would have been to all the places in the world I've been. I've managed to travel with work and stuff as well, meet all the people I've met, experience all the stuff I've experienced, and had exposure to all these projects that I've managed to. So I've flown to our US offices, I've done like global location moves and helped teams around the world and opened up new offices and learnt about infrastructure and IT systems and software itself, and been involved in the product and all these sorts of things that someone that's 19, 20, 21 would never ever get access to.
Cool, amazing. So from that, I want to speak about two little things. So one being that I want you to answer in a second, that's just completely gone off my mind, something about the other thing. So the book that I've read that sounds exactly like what you're explaining is called Outliers, that we mentioned yesterday. And that's about really successful entrepreneurs and how they've had like a really key influence in their life. So if you want to know more about what Robyn's talking about and how this one person and the organisation she's worked for has changed her life, read that book. It's called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. All of his stuff's really good, actually. What's the other thing that I was going to say? That's going to annoy me. I can't think about two things at once. I'm a man. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So before you started that company, did you feel like you had entrepreneurial qualities? Did you want to run your own business, or is it something that's developed since being at Lead Forensic, which is called the company you work for?
Do you want to switch the light on?
I can switch the light on, yeah. You can carry on talking now.
So I think that I'm never going to fully know the answer to that question, because I think that if I look back, there were times when I was younger that I can see it. So, like my dad said to you the first time he met you about when we went to Spain on holiday every year, because we had a villa out there. We'd do the shop and stuff, and so he'd get all of his San Miguels and everything, and I would then sell them back to him in the villa. So I would literally spend my time, I'd draw up a menu, I had a company name, a logo, everything, and I'd draw up a price list, and I'd leave that with him, and I'd get him to pay me 10 cents to go and get him a beer out the fridge or whatever. And then I'd take that to the little shop down the road and get myself like a keyring or something ridiculous. But there's little pockets of my life that I look at and things like that make me think it was always kind of inside me. But I think that joining the company I did and working with the people I did is the thing that really ignited it and showed me how to use it and how to channel it.
Awesome. So not everyone can fall into a job like you have with the right people around them and the right organisation and the right ethics. How can they replicate kind of what you've had by having that? Is there anything you would recommend to people? Like, obviously you're setting up your own coaching business, your own goal setting business. But then if someone can't afford that initially, what would you say would be a great way for them to get that kind of information, that kind of influence?
I think that there's a lot of ways that they can do that. So One, I would say that there's so much education and content around that's easily accessible on YouTube and social media and stuff that's free. Like, you can just type anything into YouTube. You could type goal setting into YouTube and you'll get hundreds of results. Like, people like Brian Tracy, that sort of thing. There's loads of books on it. So Brian Tracy's a key one. A lot of his stuff is around goal setting. You can obviously, if you're in a position to, reach out to coaches and mentors and things like that. And there are some charities that do that for kind of younger kids, like in school and stuff. So that might be an option. But also, I think it's just taking ownership and looking at the circle around you. And I've written a blog about this that will probably be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And really, you need to almost do like an audit and a detox of the people you surround yourself with and look at them all. And because there's that whole point around you are the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you need to identify who those people are. And if they are not adding value to your life or making you a better person or just being a positive and encouraging influence, they're not the people to be spending the most time with. And you can't always decide that. Your family may be quite negative. I don't know, people you sit next to at work may be very negative, and some of that might be outside of your control. But you can control your own time. And I think just going out and being in the sort of places that successful people will be or positive people will be, like, look at the sort of places you're going and the things you're doing and put yourselves in situations and in places where you're going to meet these people, and just change your circle. And I think that that's kind of the biggest thing. You can go out and you can do that and you can just talk to people, and that's going to have probably the biggest impact.
I think the important thing you mentioned there is change your circle, because not everyone will be listening to this now, or not everyone, but people who listen to thinking, my circle isn't that like that, so I can't have that. And I've listened to podcasts and audiobooks for years thinking the same thing. And it's only been in the last 12 months when my circle has changed. So has your circle been always like this, or has it also changed?
Oh, it's absolutely changed. So, like I said earlier, my family love them all I do, and they do support me. They're not like-minded. And when I started to meet people that were like-minded, like we say, I've fallen into this. I wasn't aware of it before. So hopefully, if there's people listening to this that are kind of in the same position, know that when you start to surround yourself with like-minded people, you start to feel different and you start to perform differently and act differently and behave in different ways and respond to things in different ways. So I'd definitely say that my circle's changed over the years. Like, in the last 18 months, I've met people that have become very close in my circle, like my friend Annie, whose birthday went to, a couple of other friends that used to work at the same company as me and have since moved on, but I'm still very much close with. You, for example, like, it's constantly changing. I think that you just choose which people you want to keep and you kind of let those others drift. And you do lose people along the way, and sometimes that's hard. Like, there's people that I was best friends with for years that things happen and you end up drifting, going in different directions, and sometimes that's kind of the way it's meant to go, because everything happens for a reason. And the sooner you rid yourself of those people, and it doesn't necessarily have to go sour, you don't have to fall out with these people, but you just need to distance yourself and spend time with the right people, and yeah, definitely change your circle.
Mm-hmm. So people are also going to be like, I can't just go up to these successful, famous people and be like, hey, I want to be your friend. So should we talk about how we feel like we've attracted that type of person into our life, perhaps? So I feel like for me, previously I thought about that as out of my control, the people I surround myself with. Like, I control to a point who I'm currently with,
yeah.
But bringing in people that are going to help me move up in my life would be out of my control. But it absolutely isn't. It's just a reflection on how you're being. So the energy you put out is what you're going to bring in. So do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I 100% agree with the whole energy thing, and definitely the energy and the frequency that you put out is what you attract back. So for example, if you think of someone that you think of as a negative person, nothing ever gets better for them. Like, they'll moan about this, they'll moan about that, it doesn't matter what's going on, they'll find the fault in it or they'll find the downside. And that's always the case. They've never got anything good or positive to talk about. Nothing good ever happens to them because they're attracting negative energy. Whereas you think about those people that are super bubbly and really high on life and really energetic and really positive, and they seem to be successful and they seem to have better relationships and they seem to be performing better and doing better things and just experiencing life more, because that's what they're attracted into their life. And you attract people on the same frequency as you, and like we've discussed before, you need to change the person you are to attract those sorts of people. So, and I do think it's kind of a fake it till you make it sort of thing. If you sit down and you picture, so there's a book, I think it might be The Miracle Morning, but it talks about level 10 people. And so I did an exercise about 2 years ago, and I wrote down on pieces of card all the things that I felt would be a level 10 person. So I sat down and you have to really like take yourself away from stuff and really, really think about this stuff. And I was like, right, when I think of a level 10 person, someone that's really got their self together, that's got an awesome life, what does that look like? What do they, just like down to how they conduct themselves, where do they live, like what does their house look like, what do they do on a daily basis? And so a couple of examples for you is that they read and do self-development every single day. Like, they are well presented, they're clean and they're tidy and they're organised. Like, all of these things, when you look at someone, you're like, yeah, they've got it together. Identify what all of those things are and then force yourself to do it. Like, I cut out these pieces of card and I stuck them all around my dressing table mirror, so that every single morning when I was doing my makeup, I read through them and I was like, right, what am I doing today? Am I exercising today? What can I do that's going to push me towards being that level 10 person? And just because I wrote it down, it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. But I would force myself into these habits and into having it, just writing it down and looking at it all the time, kind of subconsciously puts it on your brain, and your brain gets to work without you even realising, and then you start to naturally become that person. So in order to attract the sort of people that you want in your life, you need to become the person that's on the same frequency as them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So it's just a journey of change, isn't it, that we're trying to present to people, that we've had to go through ourselves, that we are showing that it's possible for anyone. And I think that's the important thing. And the way I did it was just I constantly just read and read and read, because like I've left university. I actually had a friend around from uni the other day who was giving me a massage. He wants to offer trade for trade, and I'm going to coach him alongside it. And he said, of all the people I expected to do well out of university, you was the last person I would say who would do well. And I completely agree with him. Like, it's a fair comment, because at uni I was just a twat. Didn't really apply myself, and I wasn't. I would never have been able to do what I'm doing now if I look back 5 years ago what I was doing. So I had to change who I was to be able to be in a position where I wanted to do things like I'm doing now, and be in the position like I've got now to be living in this amazing apartment with this person here, and doing what I want for a living, and earning a good living, and being able to do incredible things and have opportunities, right? I would never have done that, or no one would have thought I could be doing this 5 years ago. So I think the podcast, whatever you want to call me, Be More Man, like, I have gone through the biggest journey of anyone in this whole idea that you can wake up one day and decide, you know what, like, I don't really like my reality, I know what I want it to look like, I'm just going to be patient and spend every day and every minute I can working towards being the person I know I can be, or I want to be, and that evolves over time as well. Like, after a year, I achieved a bit, and I was like, I could never imagine achieving that. Now, if I look at where I was doing 4 years ago, again, it's still minuscule compared to what I'm doing now, you know, so it's like a constant evolving journey. So you might not be able to see the distance like at all, but you can see maybe 6 months ahead, and if you can control the micro, the macro will look after itself. And there's little daily disciplines that you can definitely apply, even if it's, like Robyn said, putting things around the mirror to look at, or whether it be to read like I did, or use exercise as a discipline that I used for a long time. Dieting was a discipline that I used, which helped me a lot as well. With everything that I now apply in life, like, yeah, it's a journey. So if you're listening now thinking, I can't do this, like, you fucking can. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So next steps for you. Talk to us. What's the plan?
So next steps for me, so obviously I've got 4 months left at the company I'm at now. So in terms of the direction that I'm taking my life, so obviously I'm looking to start this coaching business. I've started the planning process of that, so I'm up at 4 a.m. every day, working on that stuff first. And I've got a set plan for the next 18 weeks and what I need to execute by when. I'm trying to document the journey as well as I go, so that anyone that's looking to do a similar thing or just wants to follow my story or whatever it may be, I'm kind of putting that together as I go. I'm trying blogging, so I've released a couple of those, trying to get some more out, but having some technical difficulties right now. And then, yeah, I think I've got a clear plan of what I want to achieve and where I want to take it. But ultimately the goal is to just help as many women and girls as possible realise the things I have and just really help them push through, like, basically everything we've discussed today, just teach them on a specific level for their own lives what they can do, and teach them these practices and these ways of thinking to help them achieve what they need to achieve.
Awesome. Leaving your job to do this, what's been the reaction?
It's been mixed. So because the thing is, it's not just that I've left my job. Like, my whole life has literally changed in the last few weeks. So obviously I'm in a new relationship. We've just moved in together. I've just quit my job with no real resource or anything behind me, just kind of belief in myself. A very well-paid job. I'm already out earning the whole of my family, so they think I'm nuts. They're supportive and they believe in me to an extent, but I think the whole thing just scares them. And because they care about me, then obviously they're quite sceptical about the whole thing. There's been a few people that have kind of been like, "Oh, are you sure this is very risky?" But on the flip side, the support when I released my first blog announcing what I was doing was overwhelming. Like, over 2,500 people read that blog. I don't even know that many people, so God knows how it did that. And then I've had messages from previous colleagues, people I went to school with, old school teachers that somehow saw it, and they're just like, yeah, that's amazing, go for it. Like, everyone's been so supportive and really, really believed in me, and I actually felt sick when I published that first blog, because I was like, everyone's gonna be like, oh my God, like, what an idiot, and just think that I'm not going to be able to do it. And again, I'm kind of going against everything I believe in here, because that was all in my head and that was all my own perception of it, because I just had that moment of fear. And that's the thing I'm trying to help people with, is to get over that fear and do it anyway, which I did.
How did you do it?
Get over the fear.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to suck it up and do it. Like, you can't pussyfoot around your whole life and just not take risks and not do things because someone might say something or think badly of you. Like, fuck it. It's not their life, it's yours. It's not going to have any impact on anyone else apart from you, and you are the only person holding yourself back. And I've kind of built up that self-belief and that strength over the last couple of years. And I'm like, I can make it work. And ultimately, if it all goes to shit and everything fails, like, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to end up out on the street. I've got enough people around me that will look after me. I'm smart. I'm switched on. Like, I'll be able to get back into a job. So when you actually think of the very worst that can happen and compare it to real life bad situations, it's minuscule. So it's like, why wouldn't you do it? And the generation we're in at the moment, there's so much available to us that it would be mad for me not to do it. I've got this idea, I've got this passion, everything's available to me, the world is literally my oyster, so I would be doing myself an injustice if I didn't do it because of what other people might think.
Love that. And what has been the catalyst for you to make you go, that's it, I'm going to do it?
Running my own business has always been my biggest goal, but I think you have goals, and I think you have scary goals, and that's always been my big scary goal. That's been the one day goal, and I think that I've just kind of I've probably learned as much in the last 4 or 5 years of my career as a lot of people would learn probably in their whole career. If they were not pushing themselves enough, someone could go their whole career and retire without learning half of what I've learned in the last 4 or 5 years, because I've been in such an entrepreneurial environment and a fast-paced environment that the knowledge and the experience and the skills that I've built up are huge. And so I forgot what the question was.
Was it even a question?
Oh, what's the catalyst? Yeah, I remember. So it's always been in the back of my mind, and I think I've got to the point now where I've become that person that needs to do that. So I think that all of these things before, I talked about it all these years and said, yeah, I want to run my own business one day, but I wasn't the person that can run their own business. I had to go through all the crap that I did, go through all the difficult times, be tested time and time again, make mistakes, get things wrong, beat myself up about it, learn from it, get things right, know how that feels, do a good job on stuff, and just keep progressing forwards to the point where now I'm uncomfortable not doing my own thing. And I think that the final little push that I needed was probably you, seeing what you've done and what you've managed to... Why are you smiling at me?
No pressure, Jack. Your family must hate me.
No, but I think that maybe I was right on the edge, and I think that meeting you and the way that everything's aligned and all the timings for everything, I always said when I first joined the company, in my first ever interview, I said, I think I'll probably be here for about 5 years and then I'll probably set off to do my own thing. And I think just by saying that, the universe went to work and the law of attraction went to work, and the whole 5 years I've been there has been building up to this moment where it just clicked in my head, and I was like, yeah, it's now or never.
Awesome. And there's a big Brittany's ferry going past that's putting me off massively. Is there two, or is that the mirror? It's a reflection. There's not two, is there? There's two of them!
There's one.
There's two. But I think I want to add to that. The law of attraction, we need to put the blinds across when we're doing the podcast, is probably a topic that people are going to be sceptical about, and I'm agreeing why they would be. But then you say the universe went to work. I tell you who else went to work in them 5 years? You did. And that's why you've got a position now where you can go off and build your own business, be an unbelievable success, have an impact and help people. So don't listen to this and think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and tell my boss that in 5 years I'm going to run my own business, and then spend the next 5 years twiddling your thumbs. Go and take action and build, like Robyn has, the person she had to become to then have the right to go and build a business. Like, I started my own business from the word go, and had to learn all of the mistakes along the way, and I haven't been able to have the kind of influence that she has had by being in a job. So that's the advantage you get from learning through other people, right? And so we're not saying to everyone, right, be an entrepreneur. We're saying be really self-aware and understand what role you can and what value you can bring, whether that be as a number 2, a number 12, a number 1, whatever it might be. Just go out there and realise that you have one opportunity to fucking be a human being, do what you want to do, and go and crush it.
Yeah, and I think that that's the whole point. Like, what I'm doing is not for everyone. Like, I think that what I'm doing is for the small percentage. Someone might just want to travel the world. Like, they should absolutely do that. Like, someone might just be really into surfing or drawing or whatever it might be. I think that the whole thing is, I think that we all have, and this will sound fluffy, but I think we all have like a calling and something that we're supposed to do. And I feel like in the last couple of months, like, everything in my life has just clicked, and I'm in the place I'm meant to be, around the people I'm meant to be around, moving in the direction of what I'm meant to be doing, and it's kind of like my purpose. And I think that you'll feel it and you'll know what that is when you get to that point. For some people that might be being a parent, for some people that might be having an amazing career and I don't know, scaling up in their businesses. It could be anything, but I think that whatever that thing is, put all of your energy into it and just kind of channel everything that you've got into doing that, because we are only here once. We have all got a purpose, so I think that you just need to find what that is and go for it.
Bloody boom. We should probably end on that. That is going to be hard for me to beat. Is there anything you want to add? Where can people find you? What's the plan? Obviously, do you have any massive goals you want to share, or you want to keep it a secret? Like, how are you going to have your own podcast? So what's the plan for you and the girl boss?
Well, I'm kind of dabbling in a lot of stuff at the moment, just trying to find my way with it. A lot of this is very new to me. So the blog is already live and I'll continue to update that. You can follow me on social media, so I'm sure you can post that on the link or something.
I can do that, no problem.
Thanks,
or it's at Robyn Leason on Instagram, right?
Yeah. There may be a podcast, we'll see. And yeah, I think that maybe just social media, everything will be shared through those channels anyway. In terms of big goals, just bloody smash it. Just give it everything I've got. I've got plans in my head, but I don't know if they're big enough. So I just need to find my way with it over the next 18 weeks, get it live, and then just push it as hard as I can, basically.
Mm-hmm. So for most people, there's only one 4 a.m. in the day. For us, there's two. How do you get up at 4 in the morning?
Well...
And talk us through why you have to get up at 4 in the morning to give people a bit of context. Maybe they don't need to do that, but then what can they possibly do to add? So if someone's got a full-time job, what I'm saying, that works 50 hours a week, and they think, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
How can you?
So I would always want to get up early, and a few times over the last couple of years I went through phases of getting up at 4 a couple of times, mostly 5 or 6, but then sometimes I wouldn't get out of bed till 7, half 7, and then I'd be rushing around and everything. And I think that, coming back to my point I made just now about that everything's clicked, I found my why, and that's the thing that drives me. And I think that before I was getting up early trying to get up early because I felt like I should and felt like it would, I don't know, then it's like, oh my god, Robyn gets up at 5 a.m, like, that's really good and everything, but what was I really doing in that time? It wasn't adding much value. Clearly it was moving me towards something, but now I've got that why and I know the direction I'm heading in and I've got my plan. Like, the second that alarm goes off in the morning, I'm like, I know what I need to do today and it needs to happen now. And like you say, I'm still working a full-time job, and I don't just do 9 till half 5. Like, I'm still going to work super, super hard up to the moment I leave, because I owe it to myself, I owe it to my boss, I owe it to the company, I owe it to all of my colleagues. And I wouldn't be me if I wasn't working super hard and doing a good job. So I'm still doing on average 12 hours a day in the office. So I need to be up at 4 a.m. working on my stuff first, so I can then go in and go to the gym and then get ready and then start work at about 7, half 7, and then work through, because there isn't any other time. And also what I found is that I've started to put myself first, probably mostly in the last 6 months or so. I've started making myself priority, and in the last couple of months, like, that's kicked up a notch. And what I'm finding is when I'm doing the things for me first in the mornings, the rest of my day's on a high. Like, I go into the office and I'm super productive and super focused because I've already achieved all the things I needed to achieve for myself that day, and that makes me feel good. So I'm then performing better, I'm happier, I'm nicer to people, and again, it's that positive energy, and then it just kind of snowballs. And then the more positive you are and the more you do that and the better you're feeling, the more positivity you're attracting back in your life, the more successful you are, the more productive you are, and it's just a ongoing circle.
So morning routine for you is something that you would definitely recommend to people?
100%. Like, tick off those things on your list every morning first that are for you, that directly move you towards where you want to be and that make you feel good and that turn you into a better person. So like exercising in the morning, obviously you've been a key influence for that for me, and like noticing the differences in the way I look and the way I feel is just massively pushing me forward, and the only person I'm doing that for is me, and that feels amazing because I'm looking after myself, and that allows me to look after other people better.
Perfect. So Robyn a few years ago would stumble into work at 8 in the morning and be like, good morning, and then slowly get into the day, right? Whereas now, when people are walking in at 8, you've already been sat there 2 hours, you've already been to the gym, you've already done your girl boss work and planning for your new business, and you're in fifth gear and everyone's like in reverse and they're like, what the fuck is she on? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you're taking control of your day and not letting the day take control of you.
Absolutely.
Fucking boom. End on that, shall we? I had to take control of that. I had to end it. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm sure it won't be the only time. We don't need to then see you out because you do live here. So we just need to press end on the recording. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Be back soon for a new podcast. And yeah, thanks very much. Say bye.
Bye.